Hello everyone, how are you? Hope you're all safe and sound in your houses, enjoying your time with your family. Today's lesson is about equivalent fractions. You can see from the standard that we're supposed to find out how is a fraction equivalent to another one and explain it using different ways and paying attention to certain rules. In this lesson, you can find an equivalent fraction by multiplying the numerator and denominator of a fraction by the same number. You're also going to use multiplication to determine whether two fractions are equivalent. By the end of this lesson, you should also be able to write a fraction that is equivalent to another one and explain how to check to see if two fractions are equivalent. Now, the vocab words that we'll be using in this lesson are fraction, denominator, numerator, and equivalent fractions. We all know that a fraction is a part of a whole, like a half, or a fourth, or a third, or a sixth. It depends on how much is this whole divided into. The denominator is the bottom number in a fraction that shows how many equal parts the item is divided into, like 3/4. So here, the item is divided into 4 parts. This is why we said it's 3/4. So the denominator again is the bottom number and it indicates how many parts is the item divided. The numerator is the top part in a fraction that shows how many parts do we have, like 5/6. Now, equivalent fractions, which is our lesson, means that they are fractions that have the same value but different numbers, like 2/3 and 4/6. Later on, we will discuss how to find out how the fractions are equivalent and what does it mean. Now, in the first part, we will learn how to find equivalent fractions using drawings or without drawings. And then we will find the missing number in a fraction using multiplication and division skills. Now, the lesson is mainly about only how to use multiplication to find the missing number. But we will try to extend the skill into using division as well. Now, this is the first way which we need to find equivalent fractions using drawing. Let's say you have this pizza. You decided to cut it into halves and eat only one part of it, or only one half, which means that you ate one half. Let's say your friend decided to eat 4/8, which means that he's going to shade all of these parts. And his fraction is 4/8. Now, if you look at them, they look the same. This is a half and these are 4/8. They are the same, they just have different numbers. Here the numerator is 1, in this case it's 4. Here the numerator is 2, in this case it's 8. I'll leave you with these so I want you to think, how did this happen? While I move on to the next example. In the next example, let's say Saif has a cookie. He decided to eat 2 parts of the cookie, which means he divided it into 3/3, and he's eating only 2/3 of it. So here, in this case, Saif ate 2/3 of his cookie. Ahmed said, no, Saif, I will eat more than that. I will eat more than you. You ate 2/3. I will eat, how much do you think is it gonna be? I will eat 4 parts, not just 2 parts. I will eat 4 parts, which means I will eat more than you. So he drew his cookie and he divided it into 6 parts. So he said he's going to eat 4 parts out of the 6. So this is first, second, third, and fourth part. And he said, well, I ate more than you did. So Saif looked at his drawing and then asked Ahmed to look at his, and they said, come, let's compare them. Let's see who ate more. And when they looked at it, they realized they that they ate the same number, the same number of parts. Now Rashid was listening to them and he told them, you did eat the same, but you ate the same fractions. You ate the same fractions. You cannot say you ate the same part or the same number. You ate the same fractions. Say if you ate 2/3, while Ahmed you ate 4/6. They are the same, but you have different numbers. Why? Because if you take 2/3 and multiply it with 2 up and down, you will have 4/6. So they looked at him and said, what? And they told him, yes, because we need to work with our multiplication skills that we did before. You know factors? So 2 times 2 is a 4, 3 times 2 is a 6, which means that you ate the same, but with different fractions. Now that was how to find equivalent fractions using drawings. Now we'll try to find equivalent fractions, but without drawings. How are we going to do that? In this case, we're going to use our multiplication skills, meaning I have 1/4. I want to give an equivalent fraction. So I will say, okay, I will multiply with 2 up and down. So times 2 times 2, which means it will be 2 out of 8. Or instead of multiplying by 2, I may multiply by 3 up and down, or by 4 up and down, or by 5 up and down. The important rule, or the golden rule in this case, is that you're supposed to multiply with the same number up and down. Let's go to 2/5. I want to find another equivalent fraction. Now one of you might say, I will multiply with 1 up and down. Well, if you say that, okay, let's see. Times 1 times 1. So it's 2 out of 5. It's still the same fraction. So we cannot say that it's equivalent to it because it's still the same. So you can't multiply only by 1. Say you will multiply by 10 up and down. 10 and 10. So 2 times 10 is 20. And 5 times 10 is 50. So here, this is what we mean by multiplying without drawing. Let's go to 3/4. Same idea. I want to find an equivalent fraction of 3/4. I will multiply by 3. Up and down. 3 times 3 is a 9. And 4 times 3 is a 12. Same idea for the last one. Let's say it will be times 5. Up and down. 4 times 5 is a 20. And 7 times 5 is a 35. So here, this is how we're supposed to find equivalent fractions. So you either do that using or just like in this case, 1/2 is equivalent to 4/8, because here again you multiply it with 2 up and down. Or you can just go the direct way, which is multiplying directly. Now to extend the lesson more, sometimes you can find equivalent fractions by using division. Like in this case, 4/8. Now you can say I will multiply with 2 up and down, or 3 up and down, or 4 up and down. Or you can just try to simplify it by saying, I can divide by 4 up and down. So 4 divided by 4 is a 1, and 8 divided by 4 is a 2. So here, instead of just using multiplication, we're also using division. Same idea in this case. 3 divided by 3, 6 divided by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. Again, same idea. Divide with 5, up and down. So 1 out of 2. And this is my equivalent fraction. So here I simplified my fraction. But when you want to do that, you have to look for a number that can be used for both the numerator and denominator. Let's say here you decided to use 2. You cannot say 3 divided by 2. So the logical thing is to use 3 divided by 3. Here, same idea. One of you say, yeah, I can do that. 12, I can divide it by 2. Okay, if you divide 12 by 2, you cannot divide 3 by 2, or you'll have a remainder. So it's better to say that I will divide with 3 up and down. So 3 divided by 3 is a 1, and 12 divided by 3 is a 4. So here, this is how to find equivalent fractions as well using division. So we can do that either by using multiplication or by using division. Let's move to the last part of our lesson, which is finding missing numbers. How can I do that? You can see here I have the fraction 3 out of 5, or 3/5, equals to how much out of 10? They gave us one of them, which means this is a hint for me to be able to find what happened. First of all, you need to look. It was 5. It became 10. So the 5 became 10. It increased, which means in this case, they multiplied. You need to think 5 times 10 times how much equals 10? 5 times 2. Excellent job. Which means that because here you multiplied by 2, you need to multiply up by 2 as well. So 3 times 2 is 6. So the missing number here is a 6. Same idea in this one. 2 became 7. So the 6. So 2 became 6. 2 is a small number, became 6 a big number, which means that I also multiplied. 2 times what will give me 6? It's 2 times 3. And because the golden rule says, if you multiply up by a number, you have to multiply down by the same number. So 2 times 3 is a 6, which means that 7 times 3 is how much? 21. Excellent job. Now, again, same idea. 4 became 10. No, 4 became 40. Excellent job. The 4 became 40. What happened? I already gave you the answer. So it's 4 times 10, which means that down it will be 9 times 10. So the answer is 90. Same idea in this case. But here I'm working with the denominator. 7 became 42. Again, it became bigger, which means that I am multiplying. 7 times what will give me 42? Yes, 7 times 6, which means that I'm multiplying my numerator with 6, so it's 30. So here, in this case, we found out the missing number. And the hint was, or the clue that I used was, I looked at the number, how was it? And I looked at the other one on the other side. If it's bigger, it means they used multiplication. Let's extend this and look at this one. We also have missing numbers. 6 became 3. So here, not like this one, which the 5 became big. So if I was able to understand that here we divided. In this case, no, it was a big one and it became a small one, which means that in this case, I'm dividing. 6 divided by how much equals 3? Excellent job. Which means that you have to say 8 divided by 2, which is a 4. Excellent job. That same idea. 24, how much? 28 became a 7. So here it became a small number, which means I am dividing. 28 divided by how much will give me a 7? Yes, by 4. So up you need to divide by 4 as well. So 24 divided by 4 is a 6. Same idea in this case. 100 became a 10. So I also divided. So it's divided by 10. So 30 divided by 10 is a 3. And now we will conclude our lesson. And again, do not forget that the golden rule is to use the same number up and down. Thank you. If you have any questions, you know that you can always ask me. I'm always here for you.